Hello and welcome to episode 469 of the Daily Sales. I don't know if I said 9 like that. There we go. 469 of the Daily Sales Message Podcast, where every day a small piece of my brain just dies forever and I go a bit more mad. But in today's episode, and on this podcast, I teach you how to be more confident and sell more stuff with some simple, practical, actionable advice. Today's episode, we're talking about this: lack of contact from your buyer. Lack of contact from your buyer doesn't always mean lack of interest. Not always. And we've got to be careful here, because if you haven't heard from a buyer, it can be all too easy to follow them up, having presumed they're not interested or presumed you need to give them some kind of a special discount or incentive to come back, and they just haven't come back because they were busy or they're out of the country or doing a project or something else. And it's weird as a buyer if you think, right, I really want to buy that. And then you go, oh, hold on, shiny things over here. We're going to do something else. And then you think, I'll get back to that. And then these people go, oh, please come back. Here's a discount. Oh, we need you. And it feels really desperate and needy because they think your lack of contact means lack of interest. It's not always the case. I mean, don't get me wrong. A lot of the time it is the case, but we've got to be very careful here, because a lack of contact does not always mean a lack of interest. So we presume it's a lack of interest and start hitting people up with discounts and incentives, and we're kind of on the back foot, like with our begging ball out, like Oliver, oh, please buy from us, we need it. It can be really off-putting. Buyers don't want to see neediness from you. They want to see confidence, certainty, and expertise. So the moral of the story today, children, for this episode is that lack of contact does not mean lack of interest necessarily. So don't presume that. Follow people up by all means, and there's very special ways that you can do that rather than checking or touching base. Follow them up, but don't presume that they don't have interest. They need encouragement to buy from you. Sometimes they've just forgotten they're doing something else, and as soon as you make contact, as soon as they think about you, things will resume and things will be fine. Right, that's it for this episode of the podcast. Tomorrow in episode 470, we're talking about something which I call a search phrase. I'll explain more about that in tomorrow's episode. In the meantime, if you haven't already, please like or subscribe or share the podcast, interact with it in some way, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on Spotify, wherever you're watching or listening to this. It just helps us to reach more people and share more of our free practical sales training and advice. Thank you for listening or watching all the way to the end. I'll catch you tomorrow for another exciting edition of the Daily Sales Message.